A resource consent is permission to undertake an activity or to construct a building that does not comply with the district plan rules. It requires you to consider the effects of your project on the environment, the community, and your neighbours. You'll also need a resource consent for subdividing your land. A resource consent is different from a building consent, which covers how something is constructed to comply with the Building Act. To apply for resource consent, you will need to compile the relevant documentation. For a subdivision, you will need a surveyor to produce survey plans. Otherwise, the plans would usually be drawn by an architect or draftsperson. One of the most important things you'll need to provide is an assessment of the environmental effects, an AEE. You can ask a consultant planner, surveyor, or architect to prepare this for you. If the proposal is small in scale, you may wish to prepare this yourself. Council planners can give you guidance on this. An AEE describes the effects of your proposed activity on the surrounding environment and on your neighbours. The complexity of your assessment will depend on the scale of your proposal. Let's look at some things that would normally trigger a resource consent. Andrea wants to extend her garden area and needs to do some earthworks at the back of her property. In her assessment of the environmental effects, she details how they're going to landscape and build a retaining wall to protect the bank from slips and reduce the visual effects. John wants to construct a second story on his house. His assessment of effects will need to consider if the addition will have an unfair impact on his neighbours, such as shading and loss of privacy. Susie wants to open a childcare centre. She will need to identify and assess any potential effects such as noise and traffic. She may put up acoustic fencing and provide a traffic management plan to mitigate adverse effects of noise and traffic. If you think that your activity may have an effect on your neighbour, then you should seek their approval. Council will assess your proposal and then visit your property. They will assess the effects on your neighbours and the surrounding area. If you have provided your neighbours written approval with your application, then the planner will not need to consider if they are affected. As long as all the relevant information is supplied, Council will provide you with a decision after 20 working days. If your resource consent is granted, make sure you read and understand your conditions. The proposal must be undertaken as shown on your plans, so make sure you get it right first time, as it may be difficult to change later.